Hello my dear students, welcome back to my channel. So in this session, I'll be discussing about mechanism of DNA replication. In my last session, I discussed about the Michelson and Stahl experiment, which proves semi-conservative method of DNA replication. So this session, I'll be dealing with DNA replication mechanism and what are the enzymes involved in DNA replication. So, I'm going to discuss this point by point and you should try to listen carefully from the beginning to the end so that the mechanism will be very clear. So, all my dear students and viewers and other youngsters who are following my videos, I'm very thankful to them. So, please share in maximum number and encourage so that my only objective is to reach maximum number of students and other enthusiasts who want to learn biology. So I want to give my output to the maximum extent possible, and definitely I welcome suggestions from all of you also. And for that, please subscribe my channel and share to your maximum contacts so that I'll be able to reach the maximum number of biology learners, I should say, those who are interested to learn biology. So thank you very much for listening to me. Let us come back to the topic. Mechanism of DNA replication. So first of all, when does DNA replication occurs? DNA replication occurs during S phase of cell division. In the interphase, you know there are three stages, G1S and G2 phase. So in the S phase, which is called synthetic phase, DNA replication takes place and it is called as autocatalytic function. Autocatalysis means it can help in its own synthesis. So it is called as autocatalytic function. And if DNA replication is not followed by cell division, suppose it is not followed by cell division, then it results in doubling of chromosome number and that is called as a polyploid condition. So chromosome will not be formed and they will not be separated. So that is called as it is called as polyploid. Now let us go through the points. What all are first requirements for DNA replication? We know for DNA replication, nucleotides are required. Nucleotides are considered to be the building blocks of nucleic acids, building blocks of DNA. So DNA is made up of many nucleotides. So nucleotides are required, first thing. And these nucleotides are present in the cytoplasm, that is in the form of mononucleotides. They are present in the form of mononucleotides in cytoplasm. And these mononucleotides which are present, like adenosine monophosphate, if it is for adenine, and this mononucleotides, they require ATP and then they are converted into their respective triphosphates. Initially it has only single phosphates, that is called as a monophosphates. They are in the form of mononucleotide phosphates. That means they have only one phosphate group, that is adenosine monophosphate. When it interacts with ATP, then it is converted into adenosine triphosphate. So they are converted into triphosphate form. So we call this as deoxyribonucleotide triphosphate. So first they are converted into triphosphates. That is the first requirement. Triphosphates are required. Then The next which is required here is, and these triphosphates I told you activated in presence of ATP, they also require the enzyme phosphorylase. So this takes place in presence of enzyme phosphorylase. Enzyme phosphorylase is required. Now the DNA replication process, it begins at one point called origin of replication. It begins at a point which is called as origin of replication, ORI. It is also called as origin of replication. And based on origin of replication, the DNA replication can be called as either unidirectional replication, or it can be even bidirectional also. So DNA replication can be either unidirectional or it can be bidirectional also. So now let us see what is actually the mechanism of DNA replication. The main enzyme which is required, for DNA replication is called as DNA polymerase enzyme. This is the main enzyme which is required for DNA replication. Now, DNA polymerase has some very, very important features. So let us see what are those features. First thing is, it is a highly efficient enzyme. It is highly efficient enzyme, or it has high degree of accuracy. Highly efficient enzyme or high degree of accuracy. High degree of accuracy means there is no mistake made. There is no mistake made during replication. Even if there is a mistake made, it is always repaired. There is always a repair process also. Suppose this is not taking place, there is no repair at all. What is the result? It can result in mutation. So without repair process, it can result in mutation. So therefore, it is a highly efficient and accurate enzyme. Then second important feature of this enzyme, it has a high speed. Speed is more. That is, like for example, in case of E. coli. E. coli, we know it has base pairs 4.6 into 10 to the power of 6 base pairs. And this replication of these base pairs completed in 38 minutes. It is completed in 38 minutes. That means approximately the speed is 2000 base pairs are added per second. Approximately the speed is 2000 base pairs are added per second. So it is the speed also is more. Next important feature is it is an energy requiring process. We can call energy requiring process as endergonic process, also, or endothermic process, energy requiring process. That is, the replication process requires energy. So how is energy provided? Energy is provided with the help of these nucleotide, deoxynucleotide triphosphates. By deoxynucleotide triphosphates, the energy is provided. Already in the first point we have discussed, the monophosphates are converted into triphosphates. So every nitrogen base is converted into its triphosphate form. Now, these nucleotide triphosphates, they can provide energy. They have a dual function. They can perform two functions. Dual is two functions. So what are these dual functions or two functions? First function is they provide energy. Second function, they also provide substrate for replication in the form of nucleotides. They provide substrate in the form of nucleotide. So therefore, they perform two important functions. So energy is provided by the two phosphates which are broken, the two terminal phosphates. Two terminal phosphates. Suppose this is say adenosine. If it is adenosine, adenine nitrogen base. So adenine plus sugar plus it has 3 phosphates. Adenine plus sugar plus 3 phosphates. So last 2 phosphate, they get separated to provide energy. And remaining, this is the substrate for DNA replication, or it forms the nucleotide. Nitrogen base, sugar and phosphate will form nucleotide, and the 2 phosphates after breaking, they provide energy. That's why first they are in the monophosphates and then first they are converted into triphosphates so that they can provide energy. Now, next step, once these are available, the next step is unwinding of DNA helix. So how it takes place? The next step we can give as unwinding of DNA helix. Unwinding of DNA helix. So DNA helix is unwinded at one point. That point where it unwinds, it is called as origin of replication. So at this point, it is also the initiator point where unwinding of DNA helix starts. And this unwinding takes place. So this helps in unwinding. This takes place with the help of an enzyme called as helicase. With the help of an enzyme called as helicase. Helicase will break the hydrogen bonds which are present. Suppose this is a DNA strand. There is a point of origin of replication. So unwinding will start here at one point. Say here there is a origin of replication. So unwinding will start at this point and it forms a bubble-like or balloon-like structure. This is called as a replication bubble, or it is also called replication eye. This is the origin of replication. And these Y-shaped structures we find, these Y-shaped structures, this is one Y-shaped structure and this is another. So depending upon the direction of replication, these Y-shaped structures will separate, or will they undergo, or they help in formation of new strand. So this Y-shaped structure, this is called as a replicating fork. So at origin of replication, there is unwinding with the help of enzyme helicase. So what does actually helicase do? The function of helicase is to break hydrogen bonds. At that point, it breaks the hydrogen bonds. Now, based on the origin of replication, the DNA replication can be either unidirectional or bidirectional. So normally we find, suppose let us say in case of first eukaryotes, let us first discuss in eukaryotes. Eukaryotes normally it is bidirectional replication, and there are many origin of replications. And it is bidirectional. So suppose this is one DNA can have many. So I told you in the previous point there is a formation of replication bubble. So if there are many origin of replication, then depending upon whatever is the number of origin of replication, we can find so many replication bubbles will be formed. Replication bubbles will be formed. And similarly, replication fork also will be formed. And then we can see a new strand will be added to this. A new strand will be formed on the old strand. A new strand will be formed. And these bubbles will finally fuse. These bubbles will fuse and then they result in formation of 2 DNA molecules. Always from one DNA molecule, 2 DNA molecules will be formed. One DNA molecule, 2 DNA molecules. So after bubbles will fuse. Fusing of bubbles means this is one direction of replication, this is another. So simultaneously they proceed in 2 different directions. This way we call it as a bidirectional replication. That is, from the point of origin, it is going to proceed in 2 different directions. So it is called bidirectional replication. And then these bubbles will fuse, resulting in 2 DNA molecules. So after this fusion, we can find, say this is 2 DNA molecules are formed. Suppose this is in 5' to 3', the other parent strand 3' to 5'. So here we find a new strand is formed. New strand is formed. So therefore 2 DNA molecules will be formed. This is how bidirectional replication we can find in case of eukaryotes. So in prokaryotes, if we take, normally in prokaryotes, normally it is unidirectional replication. Normally, there can be a bidirectional replication also, but normally it is unidirectional replication. Unidirectional replication. So we know in prokaryotes there is a circular DNA present. So this is the circular DNA present in prokaryotes. And here there may be one origin of replication. Suppose there is one origin of replication here at one point. This is called as origin of replication. So at this point, the unwinding must start. So once the unwinding starts at that point, we can find. So after unwinding, at that point, we can find in this manner, at this point, the unwinding will take place. And rest of it will be forming the double helix. So at this point, we can find the unwinding is taking place at this point. So this is the point of unwinding. And now this is called as replication eye or replication bubble. This is called replication eye or replication bubble. And on this, a new strand will be formed. This is how new strand formation can take place. And this is going to be only in one direction. Suppose it is moving in this direction, moving in one direction. Then complete opening will take place, and from this the 2 DNA molecules will be formed. Say this is, it is also semi-conservative type. So parent DNA strand will be conserved, and on that a new DNA strand will be formed. This is how 2 DNA molecules will be formed. So normally it is a unidirectional. Sometimes, rarely, it can be bidirectional replication also. Bidirectional, then this is going to simultaneously move in 2 directions. It is going to move in two directions. And then the result is same. It is going to form two DNA molecules. Bubble will be same, only single bubble, but it is trying to move in two directions. So bubble formation will depend upon the number of origin of replication. In prokaryotes, there is only one origin of replication. Only one origin of replication. So therefore, only one replication bubble will be formed. Now, once the unwinding takes place, the single-stranded binding proteins. I am going to explain this separately. Again, taking a replicating fork. Let us take a replicating fork. One replicating fork let us take and then try to understand. So this is one replicating fork. And at this this is the point of origin. Now once the unwinding, so here there is an unwinding. This is a bubble and then it forms replicating fork. Once the unwinding has taken place, at this point of unwinding, single cell binding proteins will get attached at this point. These are called as single cell binding proteins, SSBS. Single strand binding proteins. These proteins will prevent again rewinding. They prevent rewinding. That means again the two strands should not come together and form a helix. So they prevent rewinding. So at this point, single cell binding proteins are formed. They get attached. Now another enzyme required, or it functions at this point, at the point of replication fork, is called as topoisomerases. So these topoisomerases, or these are also called gyrases in case of prokaryotes, or they are also called swivelase enzyme. Swivelase, gyrase, topoisomerase. So these enzymes will also, they reduce tension in the DNA coils. So DNA you have to imagine like a rope. Like a rope, if you imagine a DNA, suppose this is the DNA helix. Like a rope, if you are imagining, suppose it is trying to unwind at one point, the two strands are getting separated. The other parts behind and the other two sides, they try to become more and more coiled. This is what we find in case of rope when we try to open a rope. Exactly we can understand here. So what this enzyme does is, it prevents this tension. How it prevents this tension is, it cuts the DNA at one point. Say suppose at this point it can cut. It also cuts at one point. Say 2 or 3 points depending upon how much twisting has taken place. So if it cuts at this point, then the tension will be reduced. And again it rejoins. After reducing the tension, again it rejoins. So the function is to cut and rejoin, or this enzyme is also called as nick and closing enzyme. It is called as a nick and closing. Nick means cutting and then closes again, so that the tension created in DNA coils can be reduced. So this is what is the function of topoisomerase. Now the synthesis of new strands. Now let us see how exactly the DNA new strand is synthesized. So here the DNA polymerase is very important for addition of the nucleotides, and the function of DNA polymerase is it can add nucleotides only in 5' to 3' direction. That means the new strand can be synthesized only in 5' to 3' direction. That is one very important property of DNA polymerase. Second important property is it can add nucleotides only to 3' OH group. So if 3' OH group is available, it can add the new nucleotides for synthesis of new strand. So that is the reason why for initiation of the formation of new strand on the old strands, RNA primers are required. RNA primers are short RNA segments which are synthesized by the enzyme called RNA polymerase. RNA polymerase enzyme will synthesize the short RNA fragments. This is also called as the enzyme primase. It is also called as the enzyme primase. Now, so this is one strand, parent strand. Here both these strands will function as the new template strands. So both the strands can function as the template strand. So here, suppose we take 3' to 5'. First, a primer will get attached towards the 3' end of the template strand. Suppose we first observe synthesis of new strand on this strand, that is 3' to 5'. We have to remember these properties of DNA polymerase, that it can synthesize the new strand only in 5' to 3' direction. So this RNA primer, this will be in 5' to 3' direction. So a short RNA segment is added here. So 3' end always will have an OH group. 3' end will always have an OH group. So the new nucleotides can be added from this end and the synthesis can continue depending upon whatever nitrogen bases are present on template parent strand. These parent strands are called as a template strand. Parent strands are called template strand. So based on this primer, and it is providing a 3' OH group, the new nucleotides can be added and the new strand synthesis can be continuous here. So here new strand is synthesized continuously. There is no problem for synthesis of new strand on this template, which is in the direction of 3' to 5'. But when we come to the other one, it has to start from this end. If it has to start from this end, primer always will be in 5' to 3' direction. So this end will be 3'. Suppose a primer is added here. This should be 3' end of the primer. This should be 5' end of the primer. So it starts from here. So this 3' to 5', 5' further cannot extend in opposite direction, and 3' there is no strand available to extend further. So therefore it has to synthesize only small DNA fragments, and similarly another primer is required and another. In this way many such primers are required so that short DNA fragments can be formed. So this is one DNA fragment, short DNA fragments can be formed. So on the other strand, the synthesis is called as, here the synthesis is called as discontinuous synthesis. The synthesis of new strand is discontinuous. On this strand it is called as continuous. So we find continuous synthesis on the strand which is 3' to 5' and discontinuous synthesis on the strand which is in the direction of 5' to 3'. So because of the features of DNA polymerase, this continuous and discontinuous synthesis we can find. And these small fragments which are synthesized are called as Okazaki fragments. After the scientist who observed, these small fragments are called Okazaki fragments. And these small fragments again they are joined to form the complete strand. They are joined to form the complete strand with the help of the enzyme called DNA ligase. You know DNA ligase is the joining enzyme. Ligase always is a joining enzyme. So these small fragments will be joined with the help of the enzyme ligase. So that is how the two strands are synthesized. So say, and now they are given the other names also. The strand, the template strand on which the DNA synthesis is continuous, the template strand on which the DNA synthesis is continuous, this template strand is called as a leading strand. It is called as a leading strand. And the template strand on which there is a discontinuous synthesis, it is called as a lagging strand. It is called as a lagging strand. So these terms are very important. What is discontinuous, what is continuous synthesis, and then what is leading and what is lagging strand. So in short, once again, just if we go through it quickly, for continuous strand to synthesize, that is for leading strand, there is only one primer required. There is only one primer required. So I think I will write it down here as a summary. So the strand which is 3' to 5' direction, it is called as leading strand. It is called as a leading strand. Here synthesis is continuous. Synthesis is continuous. And only one primer is required. Only one primer is required. The other strand which is in 5' to 3' direction, it is called as a lagging strand. Called as a lagging strand because why it is called as lagging strand? Here there is a discontinuous synthesis of new strand. Discontinuous synthesis of new strand. Discontinuous synthesis is there is formation of the fragments called as Okazaki fragments. Okazaki fragments. And many primers are required. More than one, many primers depending upon whatever number of fragments are formed. This is how this synthesis will be completed. And now let us see what are all the enzymes required here. I will now try to summarize the enzymes and their function which are involved in DNA replication. What are all the enzymes? It is a summary of all the whatever we have done. So let us see the enzymes one by one. So first I'll give you the enzyme. First enzyme will be the enzyme DNA polymerase. What is DNA polymerase and the function? So first let us see these enzymes in case of prokaryotes. Let us see the enzyme in case of prokaryotes. In prokaryotes, we find three types of DNA polymerases. So first type is called as DNA polymerase 1. DNA polymerase 1. This is also called as a Kornberg enzyme after the scientist's name. This is also called Kornberg enzyme. It can perform exonuclease activity. Exonuclease activity means it can cut the DNA towards the end. That is called exonuclease activity. And it can remove RNA primer. It removes RNA primer. We discussed RNA primer is required for initiation of formation of new strand. So after new strand is formed, RNA primer must be removed. So this enzyme will catalyze the removal of RNA primer, and it also fills the gap. It also fills the gap. Now, the second type of enzyme, it is called as a DNA polymerase 2. The second enzyme is called as DNA polymerase 2. This is we are doing in case of prokaryotes. So, DNA polymerase 2. This does not have any specific function. It performs the same function, that is, it is the repair function. What is function of DNA polymerase 1 is? It is the repair function. So, same repair function it performs in the absence of DNA polymerase 1. And it can also perform the function of DNA polymerase 3 also in the absence of that. So, now let us see this next third type is called as a DNA polymerase 3. DNA polymerase 3. This is the actual enzyme required for replication. This is a replication enzyme, or it is also called replicase. It is a replication enzyme, or it is also called as replicase. It is discovered by the two scientists DeLucia and Keynes. Discovered by two DeLucia and Keynes. So it is also called replication enzyme because it is actually involved in replication. And this consists of about 7 units, 7 polypeptides. This enzyme is made up of 7 polypeptides. 7 polypeptides. They are designated by Greek letters, that is alpha, epsilon, theta, and then beta, gamma, and then delta and gamma 2. So these 7 polypeptides are present in DNA polymerase 3. Okay, now in case of eukaryotes, this is in case of prokaryotes, what is DNA polymerase? Now if we take DNA polymerase in case of eukaryotes. In eukaryotes, there are 5 types of DNA polymerases. There are 5 types of DNA polymerases, 5 types. So let us see what are they and the functions. First one is called alpha DNA polymerase. This is involved in synthesis of lagging strand. Synthesis of lagging strand. It is involved in synthesis of lagging strand. Then second one is called beta, which is involved in DNA repair process. DNA repair. Third one is called as a gamma, which is involved in replication of cytoplasmic DNA. You know, in cytoplasm, in cell organelles, DNA is present. So it is required for cytoplasmic DNA. Replication of cytoplasmic DNA. Then next one is called delta. This delta is involved in leading strand synthesis. Leading strand synthesis. And also proofreading. Proofreading means repair process. Leading strand synthesis and proofreading. Then next, the fifth type of enzyme which is involved here is called as, designated as epsilon. I hope these Greek letters, all of you know it. Epsilon. This is also involved in proofreading. This is also involved in proofreading. Proofreading means it is a repair process of DNA. If there is any mistake in the nucleotides, then it will be removed. That is called as a proofreading process. So this is the DNA polymerases in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. The next type of enzymes are called as helicases, which we have already done. Helicases involved in unwinding of DNA helix. It is involved in unwinding of DNA helix. Then next one is the enzyme called primase. Primase is involved in synthesis of RNA primers. Synthesis of RNA primers. That is the function of primase. The next enzyme is called topoisomerases. Topoisomerases or gyrases, I have given you already the names. They help in reducing tension due to unwinding of DNA. That is the topoisomerases. And DNA ligases. Ligases help in joining. So these are all different enzymes involved. And there is another term you should know, is called as a theta replication. With respect to DNA replication, you should know this term called theta replication. So theta replication means the replication process in prokaryotes. It is called theta replication. Theta. Because when in prokaryotes, when the circular DNA opens, suppose this is circular DNA, when circular DNA opens in this manner, this circular DNA at the point of origin of replication, at this point, a bubble is formed and the entire circular DNA gives the appearance of theta. During formation of this replication bubble, the entire circular DNA gives the appearance of theta. That's why it is called as a theta replication. So these are the terms which you should know. I hope, children, it is very, very clear. I gave you about different enzymes and their functions. So children, just in the end, I would like to summarize the activity of DNA polymerase 1, then DNA polymerase 2, and DNA polymerase 3. We know these are present in prokaryotes. So just as a summary, if we take first point, 5' to 3' exonuclease activity. The meaning of this is, if it can break the DNA at this strand 5' to 3', towards 5' to 3'. Suppose this is the, here I will give towards the end. Suppose this is the DNA strand. It is in this direction 5' to 3'. It is, if it breaks at this, in this direction from 5' towards the 3'. That is called as 5', 3' exonuclease activity. This is found in DNA polymerase 1. So yes, and it is not there in the other two. Now the second function, 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. That means from this direction 3 prime to 5 prime, if it can break, if there is a breaking. This is there in all the three types. This type of function is there. Now the third feature, 5 prime to 3 prime, polymerase activity. 5 prime to 3 prime. Polymerase activity means formation of new strand. Polymerization, that is called formation of new strand. This is there for all the three. It is there for all the three. So this is a comparative table of the three types of polymerases, DNA polymerases present in prokaryotes. So with this we come to the end of this session, my dear students. So I hope you have understood it clearly. You have to go through it in much detail, and I hope I am very clear with it. So let's conclude this session here. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.